Hello and welcome to the SFF Green Shoot series. Today we've partnered with MAS to launch an initiative for financial empowerment for SMEs. In collaboration with Proxterra and supported by Ant Group and Visa, this session will discuss the need for SME financial empowerment and share more about the initiative MAS has launched in collaboration with the IFC, the UNDP and the Global FinTech Institute at the Singapore University of Social Sciences. I'll hand straight over to Sopnanji Mahanti, Chief FinTech Officer at the Monetary Authority of Singapore, who has dressed up for the occasion to kick off the proceedings. So over to you, Sop, for the opening remarks.
Thanks, Rebecca, and good morning from Accra in Ghana. Well, it's an exciting day for us. I hope the next 5 minutes I get through the internet so you can all catch up what I'm trying to do here. I'm personally excited about what is happening. First thing is the first time we are using, in my mind, a technology construct to deliver an alternate system for accessing credit for micro and SMEs using a three-layer approach. One is through education, second through a digital marketplace, and third through a verifiable ecosystem credential system. Now it looks a lot of technology, a lot of complicated infrastructure. Trust me, it is as simple as anything you can imagine. I think one thing we are learning as we understand this space better is that the first step to any trusted digital footprint is literacy. And how do we ensure that we get a community of small and micro enterprises to the part of the system so that they get a level playing field with the market around us. So we are launching this program. The first part of the program is an education program. I hate to call it as a literacy program because most of the small businesses do understand what it means to do a good business. But what we really need to know is a level playing field, get them to a common framework where we make them aware of their responsibility and their understanding of when they trade globally using common platforms, common framework, what are the things they must watch out for. I'm quite grateful to the participants here who have come together and build this program. IFC, Kinbox from Philippines, Amor is here. Of course, Professor David Lee is helping us to put this program together. We have private sector from ANT, and of course, our partner from IFC and Visa. And I think all of them have come together from their own experience, own understanding the space, and put together, which will truly make things easier for the SMEs to participate in this new digital economy. So we'll start the program from Ghana. It will be extended to India. It'll go to Philippines, and we'll start opening the program to other market. Once we establish this financial literacy program, we'll open up the second and third layer of the infrastructure. I hope today's discussion, which will follow me, will debate on how we approach this topic. At least once I landed in Ghana, I met a real SME and a micro SME. I do understand how difficult when you actually talk to people on the ground and what are the challenges they're facing. Despite progress in digital finance, progress in financial sector, progress in technology, the world at large is still poorer. Poorer are getting more poorer, wealthier are getting more wealthier. Access to finance is still a struggle. I think we hope that with this program, we'll reverse that trend. We'll bring together a wider community, which is inclusive, help them to succeed in their growth. And Samir Vakil, a close friend of mine, reminds me that no idea is small and micro. It is the infrastructure and access to the infrastructure make them small and micro. If we can do it right, if we can put a real digital infrastructure which can make an idea bigger, we can scale it, we'll truly achieve collectively an impact which are all aspiring to make it happen sooner the better. With that, I want to thank everybody and wish the panel a good discussion following this. And I hope as I get through the day, you will hear from LinkedIn, Twitter, and other platforms what is progressing in Ghana, an historic moment for us to launch this program right out of Accra. Thanks, Becca. I'll hand over back to, I think, Costa or you, and to take this forward. Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you, Sops. And next up, we'll hear from Kostab, who will take us through two panels today. But firstly, good luck for that launch in Accra. A really important message there, so thank you. These two panels will look at the creation of this SME Financial Empowerment Programme, and then secondly, the impact it can have on local communities. Kostab Roy, who's the Senior Payments and Solutions Architect at MAS, will moderate both discussions. So I'll shortly hand over to Kostab. But for those of you at home, enjoy the rest of the session and good luck to the panelists. Kostab, over to you.
Thank you, Becca. And good morning, good evening, and to all the viewers. As Becca said, I'm already introduced. I'm Kostab Roy from the Monetary Authority of Singapore, FinTech and Innovation Group. So today it's my pleasure to facilitate two panels where you will hear from the industry leaders, educationalists, and supernation agencies about the recently launched SME Financial Empowerment Program. In short, we call it SFE. You just heard Swapnendu Mohanty, where he kind of unveiled this new program in Ghana, Accra. I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit more about this program. This program is a collaboration between MAS, IFC, and UNDP. We have come together and joined our forces in our area of influence and work with the industry partners who have contributed in putting this wonderful program together. As of now, we have two programs which is conducted through this initiative. First is the foundational literacy program, financial literacy program, which covers the basic financial concepts and financial products, which are essentially a micro and a small SME is looking for. And then a global financial literacy program, which equips medium and small size SMEs with the knowledge to connect to the digital economy and the financial services like fintech solutions and digital tools. This program has been extensively curated with the issuance of a competency certificate, with a repository of contents like you have animation videos, comic strips, and PDFs for self-help for the understanding of the basic financial concepts. And then we have specialized masterclasses conducted by university professors and industry experts who shares their real life experience for the global financial literacy courses. At the end of the courses, businesses and individuals need to take an exam for certification test and get a certificate from the Singapore University. And this certificate is a very verifiable certificate. This program aims to give SMEs a strong starting point as they plan to think about digital transformation, their ability to tap digital finance, and their ability to connect and make cross-border trade possible. As Swapnendu just mentioned in his opening address, no idea is micro or small or medium. All are equal. What stops them to becoming large and scaled ideas are the infrastructure and knowledge. This program aims to give the wings to these such ideas and give them an equitable opportunity to understand the power of using technology and the power of internet and the power of accessing digital finance. So in this context, let me welcome my fellow panelists, Professor David Lee from SUSS and GFI, Jiang Fang from IFC, and Dr. Luciana Aguirre from UNDP. Thank you for joining me today. In this session, I would like all of you to explain the audience why SME education is essential and how a course like this empowers SME to achieve digital literacy. I want to start with Professor Lee. Tell the audience who actually are taking this course. Actually, you know something that Professor Lee is the one who will be signing your certificates. So it's very important to hear from the man who has actually designed this course and is the man behind curating each of the materials, especially the global course. So Professor Lee, tell us how you designed this course and why is it so relevant in today's world?
Yeah, Kostab, thank you very much for inviting me here today. And first of all, congratulations to all the partners at MES. And thank you all of you for putting this whole initiative together, which is a very meaningful initiative for empowerment. And as the title suggests, that is finance. These are empowerment. And as earlier on, Mr. Mohanty has mentioned that access to capital is always a major issue. And I think one of the solutions that we can look into is to have a common understanding, not only about the terminology, a common language, a common mission, but also the digital infrastructure that will bring the SME to the next level. So on that basis, what we have done, the Global FinTech Institute is going to issue the certificate. We draw on all the experts, and there will be about 6 experts, subject experts from Singapore University of Social Sciences. But the courses cannot be complete without all the collaborations with the partners who are present here today. I would like to thank them as well, because there will be panels that you'll be hearing from them. There'll be master classes. There'll be 7 different topics. But the most important thing about the whole program that we have designed, they may not be perfect. We can continue to enhance them. But the first attempt that we have done so is to find a common ground, so that we all have a common understanding of how we can make use of all this digital infrastructure, some of which are public and private partnerships. Some of them are private sector initiatives, which some of the panelists will be talking about today. But they are very powerful tools for the SME and the micro SME to leverage on, to get access to capital, not only get access to capital, but also get access to cheap capital. I think that is even more important. So with that in mind, the courses that we have, the 2 certificates that we have, first one is to have a basic understanding of financial terms, financial terminologies. But the second part is to look into deeper in the sense that what are the platforms that we can engage with? How do we provide our own data information to the service providers and the intermediaries to help us to gain insurance protection and therefore access to cheaper capitals? And also the kind of strategy that we will talk about in some of the master classes of how can you leverage on the network effect of the internet, because a lot of micro SME and SME are very familiar with the physical economy. However, the digital economy is very different, and to transform digitally, we need to do a lot of assessment of our own resources within the company. Do we have the talent, the resources, and we do not have them? How do we collaborate with a lot of institutions and intermediaries? And I think there are a lot of very experienced panel members here that can share with us, some of them from international organizations, some of them are actually on the ground. So when designing this program, the university's professors has come in a 2-pronged approach. One is that they look at the theory itself, and then they get the latest ideas, the business ideas, and share it with the SMEs. And then at the same time, working hand in hand with those on the ground, because the problems on the ground is very different. And there's also the issues about how to deal with the digital literacy, how to deal with consumer protection, and with all that as a holistic approach. And you ask the questions, why is it so important the SME understand is that it's just not one-sided, that service provider providing, but also for the regulators in many, many different countries to come together and collaborate for consumer protection, to ensure the scams are not there to take advantage of the SMEs, so that we have enough knowledge to not fall into any of the traps. And when we talk about, and I think Mr. Mohanty also talked about inclusion, we make sure that it is not inclusion for more people to be scammed. It is not inclusion for more people to be in debt, but for inclusion to empower the micro SME to be able to expand the business, create more jobs, and also for them to be able to communicate with their consumer with their welfare in mind. So that is what I have to say. Custer, back to you.
Fantastic, Professor Lee. I think now our audience has got a good understanding of what goes in your mind when you design a course like this. The right mix of theory to practical insights, having the practitioners coming and talking about it, and then and also looking at the basic stuff of, say, the financial concepts. How do I open an account? How do I ensure that I am not getting scammed? So those are very, very relevant, as Mr. Mohanty said in the beginning, saying it's an eye-opener whenever we see and talk to a real SME on the ground, especially in the emerging market. So with that, I would want to kind of move to Dr. Luciana. And thank you, Doctor, for joining in this particular call. And as we know that UNDP is the leading United Nations organization fighting to end injustice of poverty, inequality, and climate change. So my question to you, Dr. Luciana, is what do you think are the key challenges emerging markets SMEs are facing related to the digital world? And how will this literacy program help access finance, which I think most of the SMEs are looking for today, right? So what does your view, Dr. Luciana?
Thank you, Roy. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you.
From UNDP envisions a world with MSMEs as the key foundation for building resilience and sustainable economies. We welcome this partnership of UNDP through the Singapore Center with MAS, IFC, and the Global FinTech Institute on Finance and Digital Literacy. And we've been working together with a whole set of organizations actually to support MSME resilience, particularly targeting solutions to make SMEs more sustainable and to address the challenges that hinder MSME resilience, particularly looking and understanding MSMEs as the principal agents of economic transformation towards a more inclusive and resilient sustainable economies. So there are many challenges that have actually driven us to look at solutions around MSMEs. This partnership is a very important one. UNDP is also working on MSME resilience through the private sector global facility. And the challenges are mostly related to, we have, of course, a gender gap. Women on only 1/3 of formally registered MSMEs globally. There are significant gender gap in their access to bank credit and financial services. We've seen that the MSMEs are not well engaged into the digital solutions, and particularly during the crisis, we've seen the e-commerce sales when compared to large companies in a very small rate. We also have seen very limited constraints and even no access to finance. Almost 40% of former MSMEs in developing countries have an unmet financing need of 5.2 trillion every year. And they also need to envision new ways of doing business that enable them to exceed their pre-crisis performance and make them more resilient to future shocks. So that's what we are looking at. And we are also trying to identify solutions on how we can minimize the risks that MSMEs are facing. So we are looking on two ways. Mostly how we can maximize sustainable economic participation of MSMEs. And it means by growing the MSME footprint in sustainable economy, enabling them to fully participate in new and emergent forms of economic activities, being these related to digital capabilities, digital finance, also supporting them on access to markets through digital platforms, creating space to intentionally integrate MSMEs where they have not traditionally been present, looking also for sustainable procurement, delivery of essential services. On the other hand, we are also looking on how we can minimize the economic vulnerability of MSMEs, equipping them to participate and mitigate risks. With this, I mean ensuring MSMEs that they are properly equipped to minimize exposure to new risks and exploitation, particularly on cybersecurity, and equipping them with new tools to recover from shocks, cloud-based operations in the context of multiple hazards, and also minimizing the digital divide where MSMEs are positioned right now, because in developing countries, access to digital platforms is quite a challenge. And also the literacy around the usage of these platforms is something that is quite important to be addressed. And this initiative that's being launched today is strongly addressing this gap. So for us, there are three pillars around the building the resilience of MSMEs and to advance digital and inclusive economy. So around digital transformation, connection to markets, and lowering barriers for capital. So we are looking to address informal deficits between financial institutions and MSMEs. And we understand that it's important to equip them better in order to manage the risks, manage the impact that they're generating, and building a very clear roadmap to understand the contributions at the company level and how they're contributing to the SDGs. This is it from my side, Roy.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Luciana. I think that gives us a very macro view of why SMEs are important in today's world and what we can do in emerging markets. How do we kind of address some of these challenges which Dr. Luciana has been speaking about? I think that's what it connects is the financial literacy, digital financial literacy. Unless this is being told in the right way, taught in the right way, we will continue to have challenges, and this is just an aid to achieve the means of what UNDP is trying to achieve. So now I will move to Frank. And Frank, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the team. She is deeply and passionately engaged in every step of building this program. And not only that, she has also contributed in some of these global modules, which Professor Lee was talking about. So Frank, I just wanted to go back to you and ask you some of these questions. So how do you think this particular program will help IFC, and what are the areas where we can collaborate together? We just recently signed an MOU between MS and IFC. So where do you think that this program will help address some of these needs? Over to you, Frank.
Yes, thank you so much, Kostap. It's really my pleasure to be here today and jointly promote SME financing and SME digital literacy together with so many partners. For us, I think, as you correctly point out, promoting SMEs to have better access to market, to education, and to financing is always a key priority of IFC. Why? The reason is very simple, because we're a developing financial institution, and if we look around, MSMEs is a sector which is mostly underserved. We estimate, for example, like 90% of they actually represent 90% of the business and more than 50% of the employment worldwide. However, imagine actually only 60% of them actually have access to finance, especially those in developing market. And we estimate the unmet financing need is like $5.2 trillion every single year. So EAP, for example, actually accounts for the largest share of the global MSME lending financing gap. So supporting MSAs, especially SMEs, is critical today more than ever, as we are recovering from the COVID, from the pandemic. Since it's so close to IFC, the partnership with MS is very important. We have many projects in the past just promoting MSAs, and we believe the partnership is a key. Our ultimate goal is to create a trillion market which is to say we cannot just by ourselves provide training to 100 SMEs here or another, let's say 200 SMEs in another market. More important is to create an ecosystem together with you guys so that we can join hands to create a scalable platform which can provide long-term support to SMEs. So our approach is holistic. We focus on the market creation. We provide support to the financial institutions, for example, help them better train SMEs, but more importantly, we provide support to the trainers. They are not from the financial institutions. They are the trainers who can train the SMEs directly. We also provide support to the training academy. So we believe that with a joint effort of financial institution, with from the training academy, from the trainers, and from the platform like Proxitara, we will be able to achieve this almost mission impossible, but we believe we'll be able to achieve that. To summarize, when you say how this is relevant to IFC, I think since this is a key priority of IFC, and we will continue to do that through the partnership with you guys. I believe that this program altogether will help us reach more than, let's say, 400,000 SMEs across the globe. And we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fang Fang, and we are looking forward to that as well. Together we will, and this actually concludes the first session. And thank you so much, Professor Lee, Dr. Luciana, and Fang Fang for your deep insights. I'm sure this audience has now a better understanding of this genesis of SFE and how deeply it will have an impact to our society. So SME education has a substantial social impact on the segment of the society because they provide 80% of the job in every country. SME program intends to target 400,000 SME in the first phase, as Fang Fang has just mentioned. And the rollout will happen across Asia and Africa. In Asia, we will start with India and Philippines, and of course, Singapore. And in Africa, as Sapnendu mentioned, we are the first one to, so they are the one who is kind of launching this program, and the team is there to do the launch as we speak now. This program is designed to scale with a lot of architecting has gone into this, and the program has kind of trying to have a usefulness and meaningful impact, and which is real. So we heard from the SUSS professor and UNDP and IFC on the design. So now I would like to welcome our next set of panels who will make the real use of this program, and the one who has actually built and will be using this program going forward. So please join me in welcoming in the next panel, Amor Maclang from Digital Filipinas, Debarun Roy Chaudhary from Visa, Gautam Varadwaj from Pinbox, and Zhang Yanfang from Ungroup. So, dear panelists, I would like to request each one of you to introduce yourself. And when you explain how this unique global platform will help to catalyze the already good work your SME development your organization is doing, and help the audience to know how will you utilize this program to roll it across your own market as well. So let me first start with Amor. And Amor, I know you are logging in from Accra, Ghana, and you are also representing Philippines in this delegation, which has gone from Philippines to Ghana. So why don't you tell us how this program will help you in Philippines for the SME Philippines at large?
Thank you so much, Kaustab, and good morning, everyone. We're incredibly proud to be one of 4 countries piloting this program. And when we first joined as Digital Filipinas, we knew that this program for education was going to be historic. When I got to hear from Sapnendu yesterday, I didn't realize it was going to be groundbreaking, as it pertains to the creation of a tokenized verifiable trust system. See, in the Philippines, 99.5% of businesses are MSMEs. 1 in 5 are digitalized or have access to tools, and yet there is close to 90% of all MSMEs yearning to do business beyond their borders. So you can see how those numbers don't line up. And while the Philippines has a very unique governmental roadmap coming from the Bureau of Internal Revenue, the BSP, the DOST, the DTI, and the DICT, it's real. What defines the Philippine market is the leadership of the private sector. So a few years back, say Go Negosyo, led by outgoing DTI Secretary Mon Lopez, has now been acted. The movement has actually been acted into law, and of course, Digital Pilipinas, which is now the largest private sector movement for creating an ecosystem for technology and innovation, not just for SMEs, but other verticals in the Philippines. What we hope to be able to do is create that glue that galvanizes and brings all of these excellent programs together. And the 3 gaps that we identify, from internal gaps, education to financing, all the way to the infrastructure gap, has been very, very aptly addressed by Proxtera, by being part of Proxtera. So from the learning, that will now translate not just to learnings, but to actual tokens that can create access to a global marketplace, and also to financing. That's just really historic. And finally, Kaustab, I'm not just here representing Digital Pilipinas and our soon to be launched One ASEAN FinTech movement, which we're launching in Zurich, together with the leaders of the Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam FinTech associations. SME digitalization is certainly going to be at the forefront of our agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Amor, and really congratulations for that. And we really look forward for that partnership as well. Looking forward, and you have a very nice trip in Africa. And thank you so much for joining. I know it was a busy schedule for you. So let me now go to Gautam. And Gautam, you are a key member for this program. Your organization has brought a very unique insight into designing the content of this particular financial literacy course, the basic financial literacy course. And I really like the concept which you showed me, the comic strip and the animation videos. Not only me, I think I showed it to my 12-year-old son, and he loved those concepts of understanding basic financial literacy. And it's so easy to understand, but it's so hard-hitting. So tell us more about this, Gautam.
Thank you so much, Kaustav, and good morning, everybody. It's like Amor mentioned, everybody at Pinbox is hugely proud of our participation and partnership in this amazing initiative by the MAS. Just to, if I can just take a step back, so Pinbox is basically it's a Singapore-based firm, and perhaps the only pension tech globally focused on pension inclusion for micro and small enterprises, gig workers, farmers, self-employed women, and other informal sector workers in Africa, Asia, and the Latin American region. And in the course of doing what we do, which is to enable and encourage young, low-income workers in MSME environments to start saving for themselves, we realized that a foundational piece, a missing piece, has always been knowledge. And I think we were hugely delighted with the highly scientific approach under the guidance of Dr. Lee that the MAS decided to take in saying that we must first create, enable the MSMEs to actually better understand important foundational concepts of finance, to be able to then not only look at financial services in their personal context, also see it from the point of view of their workers and workforce, and finally then to graduate to a higher degree of learning and understanding of finance at a trade level. What we've also seen, and I think this is something which is worth mentioning, is that, thanks to institutions like the IFC or, Visa or the UN, I think a lot of the countries today, and of course, a fantastic role by proactive regulators by the MAS. I think what we've seen is that a lot of countries today have started building the ecosystem and infrastructure that is required, for providing access to MSMEs to better finance and so on and so forth. But the problem continues to be that the ecosystem still is very fragmented. And I think what Proxtera has done under the guidance of MAS is to create a marketplace which helps to integrate the ecosystem and the infrastructure through and to provide both learning and trade opportunities in a single marketplace platform. And I think that's really fantastic. So what we've done, Kostov, is we've taken two things. One, we've taken this foundational financial literacy curriculum and created 6 areas of content, which starts with concepts like compounding and inflation and time value and so on and so forth, and then going on to banking and digital payments, credit, insurance, savings and investments, and finally retirement planning, which is the core of what we do. But so one is we've done that. The second was, which was a little challenging, is how do you make sure that the content is uniformly applicable in the Philippines, in India, or in Ghana, or thereafter, let's say in Rwanda or Kenya or South Africa? And I think that was tricky. But then I think there were 2 things which helped us. One was we realized that based on our previous, the last decade or so of experience working on the ground, that the challenges of knowledge in these areas is almost uniformly, applicable. And we find that many countries and individuals in many countries face similar challenges of low levels of understanding of these foundational concepts. So when we created the videos, we were a little careful to not only, make sure that the content itself is replicable across countries, but also we were able to then customize it for specific countries. So the language that you see in Ghana or in the Philippines or India is accordingly, changed. Now in India, what we are hoping is that, what we're seeing is that in just one of the states, there are 10 million self-employed women who are running micro enterprises. And what the government of Orissa, which is one of the states where we are going to be implementing this, the government is spending a lot of effort and energy on livelihoods and on improving incomes. And I think in that, the Proxtera platform becomes extremely useful to provide them a digital platform on which they can access credit and information and other services, going forward. And I think and if you sort of zoom out, the size of the MSME market in, let's say, countries like India is gigantic. And I think my sense is that going forward, not only will this become a platform for MSMEs to access, knowledge and products, but institutions like Pinbox will be able to then use the same platform for delivering retirement savings and other financial services, which MSMEs and their workers might need going forward to improve not only their, to sort of help mitigate life cycle risks, but also mitigate longevity risk for MSME employers and workers themselves. So I think it's a pleasure to be part of this movement, and congratulations to you and your team for doing such a fantastic job and for the launch today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gautam. And I'm really waiting for that launch to happen for India. I know there's a lot of work which has happened in the background, and we are just waiting for the Mission Shakti platform getting onboarded very, very quickly, and how we can launch in India as well as in Philippines very, very shortly. And thank you so much for all the contribution you have made in making this particular program very real. I must say, this is where the real thing comes in, giving the market flavors and ensuring the universality of each market is also maintained. So thank you, Gautam. And let me now move to our 2 lead sponsors, Visa and Ant Group. Your organization has been always a great supporter of SME upliftment and digitization. So being a finance company, what do you think how this program will be helpful, and how are you going to make this more popular? So what is your effort being the lead partner in this initiative? What will be your effort? So let me start first with Yan Fan, and then I will move at the similar question for you as well. Devarun, please do introduce yourself when you say this.
Thank you, Gustav. And as all the other panelists, we are very grateful for this opportunity to be involved in such a great initiative. And when you ask me why in Ant as a business, we are so emphasis and focus on the SMEs, I think that's can be explained from our name. We call ourselves Ant. Basically, it's a small and SMEs. And actually, we believe small is beautiful and we believe small is powerful. And since 2004, when we start our business actually started from serving the needs of the SMEs, actually the individuals want to trade their cameras on the cross-border base using online payment, and we solved that problem. And now we witness so many first-hand cases, how these SMEs, merchant and partners grow and scale. And by saying that, I mean, we support our clients and partners to enable inclusive, convenient digital life. And all these services has always been in the center of our business. And then in return, what happened? This need actually drive our technology innovation because all our technological innovation were designed to serve this need. So there's a very interesting interaction between technology and the needs of the SMEs. And according to a recent published World Economic Forum report last year, SME actually represents 90% of all companies globally. I think in our region, the ratio might be even higher. And they are really the primary driver for social mobility and tech innovation in the region where we are. So we believe, indeed, the core need of SMEs through technology innovation will help solving not only tech or business problem, but the society's economic growth and inclusion. And this need to go digital has never been so highlighted, especially after or during the pandemic situation, and how we can help SMEs to be recovered, to grow, and to scale more efficiently and more effectively. And digital literacy is a key of this drive. However, unfortunately, we all have the problem. There's a problem, so why we are here to talk about and to address that. Companies are struggling to catch up with the, whatever you call it, Web3 or fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0. And why it's difficult? Because the mindset of digital transformation is very different. And business owners have to have that digital mindset, and that will help them to better set their organizations up for longer term success. But the access to these skills and the ability to develop them is limited, particularly in less mature jurisdictions in emerging markets, like in China, like in many regions in ASEAN. So we have to work very hard and to put that into a part of our business, even beyond our business, for the society, for the people in our region. And in response, I think that's where Ant Group and MAS have a shared value and shared vision here. And we understand the core and the critical role of the digital skills and capabilities. And so to be honest, we have been doing this even before the pandemic, and very proudly, together with IFC, we have Ms. Fang Jiang here, and she knows that very well. And we actually have been doing this for quite a few years. And we have a program called 10 times 1000 Tech for Inclusion. We want to design this program to help the learners to become drivers of digital economic growth, not to the wider public, but to the seeds of the society. We are very picky to pick up the seeding learners every year for 1,000 people, and to train them with the mindset, with the knowledge, and with the skill in our region. And then organically, they will be the driver in our region, especially in the digital economy side. And then we met, and we realized that MAS have a very similar view on doing so. And so very naturally, we came across with MAS and with this SFE program. And one particular point I want to make is the SFE program is not a standalone piece of just telling you what is digital finance, what is financial literacy. Actually, it's a design is a part of the entire user journey of the Proxterra platform, which is going to be launched. And this is fantastic because you're not only just talking about the knowledge, but actually it's bonded with the entire user journey. And then you have the mindset, you have the practice, and you have the place actually to make things happening. And this is really powerful. And we are very flattered that Ant Group have that fortune. We were so lucky to be part of it and to supporting you. And likewise, our partnership with the SFE is not only a standing alone piece. We want to have a very strategic partnership with MAS and with all of you in this panel to help SMEs to grow, no matter it's from digital banking, which we just launched last week, or it's on this SFE program for financial literacy, but moving beyond to help really the business, the SME in our region, to grasp the opportunity and to shaping the future of digital transformation. And I wish you the SFE program a success, the Proxtera platform a success, and all the logic behind the masterpiece is a success. And I think by our efforts, I'm very confident we'll achieve that. And thank you, MAS.
Thank you so much. I think you sum it up very, very nicely. And I just wanted to kind of just reiterate this to the audience here, that SFE is one of the jigsaw puzzle to the entire problem of SME access and digital finance, which we are trying to solve through different initiatives of MS. As you know, that MS is kind of supporting the cause of Proxtera, which is the platform for identifying and for digitalizing SME trades. And the first step to that is financial literacy. The first step to that is to give the literacy to the SMEs who are connected to this platform, help them educate from there, help them to do the trade, then give them access to finance and also the trade guarantees, which we are talking about, within a trusted environment. I think that's what even Sapnendu talked about in the beginning of his opening speech as well. So with that, I would want to go to Debrun, and Debrun, the same question to you. What is the role Visa would like to play in this field, knowing the good work Visa is already doing for SME digitization and upliftment of SME in Asia and worldwide? Why don't you share your thoughts on this?
Thank you so much, Kaustav. And you know, firstly, a hearty congratulations to you, the team, and everyone here. It's really a privilege for us to be part of this initiative. And I think it goes without saying that, you know, SMEs have a huge impact globally, whether it's in the form of GDP or employability of more than 60% in most nations. And obviously, Southeast Asia is no anomaly to that. However, the big challenge for SMEs have always been the lack of resources, the lack of time, the lack of scale for them to benefit of a lot of global trends. And, you know, the SME owner often, the entrepreneur has to do everything all in one, right? So no benefit of large and complex finance teams or marketing teams, et cetera, et cetera. So they pretty much do everything themselves. And I think that's where this collaboration, and at Visa, we believe we're not just about payments, right? Obviously, we have solutions that holistically help SMEs reach their collective ambition, whether that's through payments, collections, business management, usage of data. I think that's another very common standpoint that we're seeing everyone talk about in this platform. And I think that's how we would also like to enable our SMEs. What we, you know, the role we play largely brings together all our financial partners. So when we become the cog in that wheel, which is how our core business started, being a network. So bringing the SMEs together with all the financial providers that partner with us, including core solution providers and fintechs increasingly, I think it's a very powerful mission that we are on. Three core things that I believe SME owners are always looking at, and simple ones, right? Number one, how do they make more money? So how do you grow revenue? How do you have enough credit to be able to drive that? And how do you keep costs down? So if you look at these three ambitions or three focus areas that our entrepreneurs have, that ties in very well with the ambition of this entire initiative, as well as what we've been doing and will continue to do through this partnership. I think what will change the game really, there has always been a lot of opaqueness in the data in the SME world, and that has resulted in the obvious credit gaps that we see. The other area that has also been there is all this data has always been there, right? SMEs and businesses create this data, but where do you find it? How do you harness this data? How do you package it so that it is usable for financial institutions in a meaningful way and in a timely way? And my ambition really is, I hope at some point of time, this becomes a proactive use of data instead of an SME waiting to make the first move. I think we as collaborative partners can build programs to make that move for them. And if we can predict the trends that we see through that data effectively, obviously with consent and all of that, then we are looking at something extremely powerful. Now, we've obviously been looking at initiatives, as you mentioned, so whether it's the, promoting local SMEs through various programs, whether it is promoting and celebrating entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs all over the world. So we would want to bring that landscape together to this partnership and obviously collaborate with all the players here who have a very similar ambition. And if we can take that mix of making sure the gap between the payment and the collection cycles is reduced, then obviously that working capital becomes a lot more flexible. You're not always looking at traditional ways of underwriting. The SMEs are becoming more and more asset light. So I think that entire mindset shift of how you deploy credit, how you make transactions efficient, these are all ways that we think we can jointly collaborate here and take that to market along with the platforms that we've been looking at. And really honestly, it's a privilege. We would like to, this is just where the hard work begins. So this is the launch. And we look forward to partnering you, Kaustav, and everybody here to jointly achieve our collective mission, which is no longer a dream. It's becoming very real. So that's how we see this initiative.
Sure. Thank you so much, Deborah. And Deborah, the point which always resonates with me is that point which you talked about. How do we reduce the gap of financing and the credit circle? And if education, SME education, can help you to reduce that gap and ensuring that the SMEs are well educated. So when you give that finance to SME, if you are confident, and that becomes one of your green tick to say this person has gone through this kind of certification and understands the financial product, understands how they can mobilize and digitize their business, it gives you more confidence as a financier to such SMEs as well. And that's where I think the real value will be coming in. So with that, I think I'm actually running out of time. I can see the timer here is counting down to 0. And so thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for this insightful and intriguing discussion. I'm sure your role will go a long way for the success of this global launch. With this, we come to an end to this wonderful session, and I would like to kind of just summarize this to say that we are this program is now live. You can actually subscribe to these courses, and the courses are very, very pocket friendly for the SMEs, keeping in mind the entire setup in mind. Just a $1 course for the basic course, and for the global certification, it's a $5 course. Please log in and start propagating this particular course. And with that, I would want to thank each one of you, and also Greenshoot team for having this wonderful session. Thank you so much. And there will be a short survey coming up on your screen very soon. Please see if you can put your feedback around this. So with that, thank you everyone, and have a great evening or a day wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much.